Hello, very good morning. We're glad you're still with us on Morning at NTV. That was a Kickstarter, a discussion that no doubt continues here on NTV and of course across the country. Later, members of Parliament on the Trade and Tourism Committee will be presenting to the House their report after scrutinizing the deal. We shall be looking forward to that. But now let's go into TechNote, where we shall be speaking irrigation in the agriculture sector. And joining us to help us understand the dynamics, but also what can be done to improve irrigation in the agricultural sector from Kampala, in the urban areas, Wakiso, to the rural areas, including in Butaleja, where people are grappling with water management. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Jonathan Bukenya, an irrigation engineer with Davis and Shatcliffe. Irrigation engineer. Yes, what sir. The hell is that?
Thank you very much, sir. I'm Jonathan Bukenya, irrigation engineer at Davis and Shatcliffe. I'm glad to be at this great TV station.
Thank you for making time.
And thank you for giving this opportunity. Yes.
So irrigation, paint us the picture right now where we are as a country. Is it something or a way of doing things within the farming sector that is either well adopted or something that Ugandans are still struggling to understand? Yes. Are we still dependent on the fact that if the rains don't come, then they won't be planting?
Thank you for that great question. The patterns of irrigation in Uganda have greatly been less adopted. Looking at the agriculture sector in Uganda, about 72% of the Ugandan population depend on the agriculture sector. That contributes to about 23 to 24.6% to the country's GDP. But then, unfortunately, only 3% out of the 567,000 available land which can be irrigated in Uganda is
the arable land.
The arable land is only 3% of that land.
Only 3% arable land
of 567,000 is subject to irrigation.
So why is that so?
Actually, no. Most farmers have, the reason is they have resorted to relying more on the rain-fed kind of agriculture. So they sustain a lot of dry spells of rain, and then they wait when the rain is there, and then they do the farming. Okay. That's the dilemma this country is.
It is not just sustainable.
Exactly.
Okay, Davis and Shatcliffe is the endeavors that you're up to in terms of products that you roll out and improving irrigation. Are farmers aware? Because one thing I know is that irrigation is a very expensive endeavor.
Exactly.
When we see the president telling people to do drip irrigation, it is not that that is the best, but he knows that Ugandans down there are poor, and he's trying to give them an option that they can manage in terms of cost. Is drip irrigation, is it possible to improve it within the setting that the president tries to explain so that the rural people can be able to afford?
Well, thank you very much. Irrigation, as I've indicated earlier on, is a great initiative because it comes with several advantages. Part of those advantages include that a farmer can grow off season. So live upon the fact that, as I said, that most farmers depend on the rain-fed agriculture, and then they wait until when there's rain and they irrigate. So a person who does irrigation has an opportunity to grow crops even when there's no rain. Yeah, that's one advantage. So you can. So in terms of the market quantities, you have an advantage in the market because you have enough supply when the prices are really very high and there's no, there's no supply from other competitors. Then number two, irrigation puts an advantage to a farmer. You can use, you can employ and supply, say, the pesticides and the liquid fertilizers through the water to the plants. That's another advantage to when a farmer uses irrigation. The other great advantage of irrigation is that you can optimize production when you use irrigation up to about 70% more than a farmer who just relies on rain-fed agriculture. Now, those are advantages. Now, talking about drip irrigation and the President initiative, it's a great initiative, I want to say. great initiative, but then it works very well for certain crops. So it doesn't work for all crops. Partially, drip irrigation works very well for coffee, for vegetable crops. Those include the tomatoes, talk about the onions, talk about the spinach, the lemon, the watermelon, and all crops in that kind of category.
Things you can grow backyard.
Exactly. So those ones work very well for drip irrigation. And then the banana, of course, the matoke, it works very well for drip irrigation. Now, other crops that are perennial in type, like say maize, there's another best type for irrigation that can work very well for such crops. It's called the sprinkler type irrigation.
Called what?
Sprinkler.
Sprinkler.
Exactly.
Okay.
So sprinkler is the best option for crops that are not vegetable, not coffee, and then not banana. Okay. And then of course, the other types, I'll talk about them. The third type is called open channel irrigation. Open channel irrigation works very well for rice. So it's a type of irrigation whereby you have a river, and then you have you dig canals and you channel this water to run on the surface of the land to your rice garden. So that is open channel irrigation. Yes. The others that are very, very pertinent for patch applications, like say lawns, it's called the landscape irrigation. Okay, the landscape irrigation, it works very, very well for compounds and lawns. So basically, irrigation is a great initiative because it, as I told you, commercially, it helps farmers to have better prices in the market because they can have that advantage to grow off season. And then, like say for lawn irrigation, you can have your compound appear green through the entire year.
Okay, so for example, I'm a farmer in an area or a region that is abundantly blessed with rains, can I also adopt some forms of irrigation, or I can, well, depend abundantly on the rain that is available?
No, thank you very much for that question. Now, very importantly to note that if you have one important aspect and an important factor towards initiating and starting or setting up an irrigation system is you need to have a water source. A water source. So if you're close to a river, or your stream, something similar to that, then you are at an advantage. So you are at an advantage. You can easily pick this water from this water source using specialized equipment that Davis and Shatcliffe sells. So Davis and Shatcliffe has special water pumps, engine pumps. We have electric booster pumps, okay, and we have submersive pumps. Okay. So depending on the depth of the water source that you have at site, we can look at what best solution we can give you to deliver this water into the garden. Okay. Yes.
Very quickly, within 30 seconds, what kind of assessment do you give farmers, for example, in terms of advice when undertaking irrigation schemes?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the advice we give farmers when undertaking irrigation schemes, first of all, they need to understand the area of which is going to be irrigated. So maybe the area of the garden, or the size of the backyard where they're going to plant the crops. So initially, it would be better you plant this irrigation before the actual planting time. Okay. So before the actual planting phase, you plan your irrigation in time, and then you know the area of irrigation. Then we can plan accordingly. Okay. Yes, please.
All right, Mr. Jonathan Bukenya, an irrigation engineer at Davis and Shatcliffe. Many thanks for that very insightful information with regarding to how you can undertake irrigation, whichever way you're doing it. But of course, I like the fact that you've advised that you should be able to, the cost effectiveness of this whole thing is very much important. The conversation can always continue on our platform, Twitter and Facebook. The hashtag is Morning